Okay, and we're live, but we got to let the stream breathe here just for a few seconds while we make sure we've got Facebook on with us here. Bear with us 1 second, gang. You know how it is. And we're good. Welcome in, everybody, to the Huddle Up podcast, presented as always by Mile High Huddle, powered by Overtime Media. This is an impromptu, not so impromptu anymore, Zach. We do this religiously all season long. We've done our rapid reaction halftime streams, but here we are. Chad Jensen, Zack Kelberman coming to you live. And instead of waiting until the final gun of the second quarter and halftime to start, we decided to come a little bit early. Zach, the Broncos down by a point, 2 minutes or so. Raiders threatening on the goal line, third down. What are you seeing up to this point so far with the Broncos?
I see really piss poor coaching, and I hate to put it so bluntly, Chad, but one thing that screams to mind, we can go over this in the official pod after the game, but why did Fangio accept that penalty? Why is Pat Shurmur calling the plays that he's calling? Why is Tom McMahon still employed by the Denver Broncos? So again, the players can keep the Broncos competitive, Chad. They can keep the games close as they are today, but it's the coaching that's always the difference. It's the coaching that's always the same movie we have to watch every single week with the same ending we have to grit through every single week.
Here it is, 3rd and goal from the 6-ish. Derek Carr, he's dropping back, and the pressure's there. He's scrambling. Ooh, here we go. Incomplete. Broncos get a stop. So that's, again, the Broncos defense, Zach, keeping this thing manageable. If the offense could just string together a consistent drive, this could be something. But, you know, the way this game started, and we'll get to some super chats that are already stacked up here, I had a sinking feeling the way this thing started with that special team snafu from Deontay Spencer. You know, the Broncos go 3 and out, and the Raiders just drive down like a hot knife through butter, touchdown. I'm like, yikes, this is gonna be uncomfortable. But even though Drew Lock hasn't played great, he did have the pick, and there's been a few questionable moments. Like, he's battled. He's made a few big boy throws, especially on that last drive to get him a field goal. And, the Broncos are within striking distance. This isn't they didn't find pay dirt yet in the first half. However, this is not the stinker first half performance from the offense completely that we've seen the last 2 games, but it's still not good enough.
It's not, and I kind of have to – I love you, Chad, so much, but I kind of have to deviate from the Lock praise for this game because he's made some horrible throws. That interception was all on Drew Lock. He's thrown hospital passes. He's thrown into double coverage. His accuracy issues are on full display. I'm not saying it's the worst performance ever, and he's done some nice things, but it's pretty telling when the best offensive player far and away today has been Melvin Gordon. He's been running hard, breaking tackles. Lock, though, I'm not saying he's losing me, but he has to be better than what he showed, at least on that pick.
If you guys see me looking off screen like this, I'm keeping an eye on the game because we've got a minute 44 to go as it stands. Raiders up 10 to 6 right now, 4-point gap here. Super sticker here from Stu Meat. Really appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, Stu.
You've really come on strong of late. You've been a long-time listener, but lately, man, you've just been blowing us up. And he says, "Hey, y'all, what's up? Good to see you, my friend." Yeah, I mean, far be it from me. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up anyone's skirt. Drew Lock, you're still seeing those facepalm moments from Lock. You know, I'm starting to wonder if we're ever going to see like a smooth, full 60-minute performance from Lock in this season. I think it's going to continue to be the 1 step forward, 2 steps back, then 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and there's like this endless vicious cycle. But nevertheless, Zach, one thing that I think what you said to start this stream, and by the way, gang, make sure you're following the podcast on Twitter at HuddleUpPod, also at Mile High Huddle. My partner, Zack Kelberman NFL on Twitter, and myself at Chad and Jensen. But your point about how big a difference coaching makes, you can see it in the good competitive teams versus the teams that are kind of a mess. And, the Broncos are closer up at this point to being one of those mess teams than they are being a competitive squad. And you're just seeing it, man. When you shoot yourself in the foot by the coaching and by your institutional decisions on game day, Zach, it's not a recipe. And especially when you have a young, beleaguered offense that's still trying to figure itself out, man, it's just for the team, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's a constant.
Chad, if you watch the Raiders, and they're really nothing overly special, but their offense looks like it's in 3020 compared to the Broncos. The Broncos look archaic compared to the Raiders, and that's with Greg Olson as their coordinator. And you mean to tell me the Broncos have Drew Lock and all this talent, and they can't get the ball in the end zone? Again, it's the same thing every single week, and that's why the bright spots are few and far between. I refuse to make the excuses for Locke. We haven't seen him without Cortland Sutton this year. We've seen him with a new offensive line every single week. The running backs have been injured, but the passes he does make, at least today, Chad, really make you scratch your head because he's capable of doing so much more. And the Broncos had the right idea at certain times. After the first drive, they got aggressive, they went up tempo, and it worked. They got the ball into Tim Patrick. They had play action rollouts. I got irrationally excited by watching a play action rollout. What does that tell you about the state of Pat Shurmur's offense? But then, you know where it stalled on that drive? A second down shotgun inside Phillip Lindsay run. Nothing to the outside, nothing creative, and the Broncos had to stall right thereafter. It's all on the coaching, Chad. The players are complicit too. Locke has not been good enough today, and no one really has aside from Melvin Gordon. But until they have coaching, Chad, that's on par with their opponents, you are always going to see the same results. It's literally the definition of insanity.
Locke just moved the chains on 3rd and 1 after an overthrow to Melvin Gordon on the outlet. They moved the chains with the QB sneak, and he's scrambling out of bounds, threw it away. Did he throw it away? He did throw it away. Okay, so he's at least smart enough to throw it away there.
Improvement.
John, by the way, is that we got this thing cooking. Just start throwing questions, super chats up. Let's get to them. Kind of an open flow here from Mr. Castillo jumping in. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the support. He says, I missed Judy on a crossing route on the first drive. True. Touchdown pass down the left side on the second drive. I don't know if that would have been a touchdown, but he did miss that. It almost like either the route gave up or Locke just like, it was one of the biggest overthrows of all time. On the dig route, on the interception, throws a 1 yard when they needed 3. Yeah. Locke is, again, it's a 1 step forward, 2 steps back. He shows the flashes, but he can't string together the consistency that this team really needs. And here he is on 2nd and 10, just makes a phenomenal strike to Hamler, picks up some big yardage into Vegas territory. So again, it's the 1 step forward, 2 steps back. My advice to everyone, and this is a little self-talk as well for me, for all of us here is, let's see how this game plays out. Each game has a first half complexion and a second half complexion. I mean, Zach, if you think back to week 8 when the Chargers had just laid it down on the Broncos and Drew Lock had played his worst first half as a Bronco, and then they stormed back and it was just a tale of 2 different halves in terms of just the overall vibe and emotion. Let's let it play out. We'll see. They're threatening now. They might be able to get some points here before they hit the locker room.
But here's what's maddening, though. You talk about that 3rd and 3 they throw for 1 yard, but they don't go for it on 4th and 2. You don't try to give your offense some sort of spark. You're in the Raiders side of the field when you have to score touchdowns. Where are these from the coaching staff? That's what I want to know. Where, Chad? Where is that from Fangio? Where is the aggressiveness? It's not death by inches anymore. It's death by miles at this point. And it's the same thing every single week. But like you said, hopefully in the second half, they can pick it back up.
The special teams from 85 Hellkite. Just again, it's week after week after week. You want to talk about a broken record. You want to talk about the definition of insanity. At what point does Tom McMahon lose his job? I mean, it's one snap. And today, of course, it was not only the opening snafu decision by Deontay Spencer to return that kick and then reverse field a couple of times and just bury the offense deep on their opening possession. But then you got Devontae Harris running into Spencer and allowing the punt to go all the way down inside the 5. I mean, it was just, listen, man, I don't know what Tom McMahon, it's crazy, Zach, because he's got a reputation around the league as being a veteran special teams guy, but he just hasn't been able to get things together in Denver.
2 guys that shouldn't have a spot anymore are Devontae Harris and I forgot who I was going to say, Chad. There's a glaringly bad Broncos player.
Deontay Spencer today?
I mean, him too. I was thinking of Harris. I can't think of – I forgot who I was talking about. But there's just the consistent culprits every single week. And it's not even a week-by-week thing. We've been saying this since last year. The Colts have good coordinators year in and year out. They finally fixed their defense. They've had a good offense for many years. We get the bad one, though. We get the crappy special teams guy who is no better than Brock Olivo. And if Fangio had any accountability, any responsibility in this, he would leave him in Vegas. He makes the Broncos worse by him being a part of the coaching staff. Tom McMahon needs to be fired.
So Locke is hobbling around for what it's worth. The Broncos are driving here. He just took another shot from this. Ooh, man, that one from Clelin Ferrell. And he's hobbling around. You got
thought of it.
You got Rippin ready to go on the sideline. We'll see. We'll see
Thought
how
of the
this.
other player real quick. Anthony Chickalo. Why is he getting defensive snaps? Him and Devontae Harris should not have spots on this team, Chad. That's what I wanted to say.
Indeed. It's he's been bad today. That's for sure. Not setting the edge, especially on the first couple of drives. Appreciate the super from Malcolm. John, throw that one back on. By the way, I just saw that right as I clicked on Malcolm. Ooh, Broncos get to the 4. And there's 18 seconds left. They got 2 timeouts. Second down. They got 2 plays here, Zach. They could punch it in from Big Kev. He says, appreciate the super, my dog. He says, let Phil feed. It's getting old. Get Shurmur up in the booth if he can't see things on the field. That's an interesting point about the field versus the booth. But Zach, I'm just tired of the same old inside-outside zone. Like Shurmur is not mixing up this rushing attack, and it becomes predictable. And let me tell you what else has become exceedingly predictable. If you're an opponent playing the Broncos, on 2nd and 10, it's inside-outside zone. If it's 2nd and long, it's inside-outside zone. Mind your gaps. Go after the ball if you're the linebackers. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You're not seeing Shurmur, especially with the running game, and the O-line's not doing him any favors. I tweeted about this today, and it's also in the game thread at milehighhuddle.com, Zach. But offensive line in the run has been mostly hot garbage. If it's not for, as you mentioned, Melvin Gordon, you got lock on the keeper. He's going to get there. Touchdown. Oh, and they got a flag. Come on, dude.
Holding on 72. I'm just kidding.
No, it was on the point of attack. That's coming back. Anyway, my point being, though, here, Zach, is that the running game is just askew, and Shurmur's not doing him any favors.
You can get Pat Shurmur LASIK, Chad. It's not going to change his play calling. It's not going to change a 4th and 1 tight end shovel pass on the goal line or throwing for 1 yard when you need 3. It's not in the booth or the sideline. It's just Pat Shurmur being an incompetent coach and de-maximizing Locke's strengths and making him a worse quarterback. That's really what it is.
I'm looking at this play here. Did Noah Fant really hold? I mean, I'm not sure. I guess. Yeah. The outside hand there. He's outside the shoulder. That's a hold. Dang it, man. Again, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Josh Alstrom jumping in. Thanks, my friend. He says, Jonathan Abram is Vontae's perfect light. That is all. Yeah, he's thuggish, and Locke just got picked off in the end zone. There go the points after they score, right? And this is the 1 step, 2 step.
Exactly.
They score, the touchdown comes off because of a hold. The next play, Locke, instead of galvanizing and going, no, dude, I'm not going to be denied, throws a pick. And this could go into halftime at 10-9, worst case, but now it's going to be 10-6.
Chad, you know what you can say about the Fant holding call? It was ticky-tack. He had no reason to be blocking him that strongly in the end zone. Locke would have gotten there. So it's on the players too. They're complicit, but these mental miscues and these fundamental catastrophes every single week, you wonder who are coaching these guys. You wonder what they're hearing week in and week out. It's egregious. It sucks. It's bad, but it's a continuing theme. And you sometimes have to point the finger at the common denominator.
All right, so they're hitting halftime, 10-6. Black Knight 232 jumping in. Appreciate you, my friend. He says, anyone want to give me enough money to buy the Broncos so I can do the one thing that no one in the organization won't do? Hit the big reset button. I get the emotion, and it's frustrating. And that's one of the things about the coaching being so suspect is that you don't know. It makes it harder to ascertain, Zach, what you have on the shelf. It makes it harder to ascertain what kind of horses you really have because, Drew Lock, as a rookie, still uneven, but as a rookie was a much more poised and efficient player under the direction of Rich Scangarello and T.C. McCartney than we've seen him at any point this season under Pat Shurmur and Mike Shula.
I question, though, I watched the play just now, the replay of the interception. What was that design? What were they trying to do there? He threw it on like double coverage, if not triple coverage. There's just no creativity. And again, if you watch the Raiders offense, you watch even the Chargers offense. I'm not even saying Justin Herbert. I'm saying the coaching and the play calling. Every other team looks like they're moving in fast motion, and the Broncos look like they're stuck in neutral. And that, to me, falls on the coaching and the way they're being managed, Chad. Drew Lock has been bad this game, but every single week we say the same thing. And every single week we get the same comments. Why is the coaching so bad? Why?
Mr. Castillo jumping in to say thanks again for the work MHH does and our community to talk things out. You got it, buddy. Appreciate you. We got one here from Chris Hernandez saying, man, and thanks for the super, my dog. 24-year veteran of the Air Force. Everybody knows Chris. He says, man, Phil isn't helping the he can't catch narrative. Yeah, he's definitely not been able to showcase any progression as a receiver with the hands. Who knows how big of strides he's made as a route runner, as a receiver. Zach, we just quite yet haven't seen him take that step forward on the grass.
Are we talking about the pass he dropped where he got lit up by two guys because it was a hospital ball thrown by Drew Lock? I mean, I don't blame him for dropping that pass. He's never going to be Marshall Faulk, but just get the ball in his hands, run him outside. How about a sweep? How about a toss? How about a screen? Again, I hate to keep hammering the same point, but when you run Phillip Lindsay inside, and I hammered this point with Scangarello last year, why are they running him like a 300-pound running back? He is a playmaker. Get the ball in his hands, let him get to the edge, and good things will happen. It's really not that hard.
I tell you what, man, it would have been nice to get some points on that last possession. I mean, Drew Lock, I'm sorry, dude. It sucks that you just got your touchdown wiped off the board because of a hold. It sucks that you're banged up, but you just drove the team all the way down to the goal line. You cannot throw a pick there, dude. I'm sorry. Like, at what point is this guy going to show that he has when you talk about poise, Zach, it's not just, standing tall in the pocket and not wilting under the pressure. Poise is also having the discernment and decision-making wherewithal to do the right thing, to make the right decisions. And yeah, maybe it was a bad call by Shermer on third and goal, but Drew Lock has to be smarter than that, Zach. And it's just so frustrating because he's not a guy, especially early in games, he's not a guy that shows the resilience to bounce back after something bad happens, like the Noah Fant holding play. Right. Foul, gets the touchdown wiped off the board. You could almost have predicted that Drew Lock, something bad was going to happen on the ensuing play. What's up, John? Thanks for the super, my dog. I didn't get to see what happened on that TD pass, but at least it's not a blowout. It's not a blowout.
Wow, there's a silver lining right there against the Raiders, against the Broncos' hated rival. That's where the bar is right now in Broncos country. At least it's not a blowout. At least the Broncos aren't getting their ass handed to them on the road. This should be another game where the Broncos, if they had competent quarterbacking, I will say that, and competent play calling, competent coaching overall, this could have been an easy Broncos victory. Nothing the Raiders are doing is overly amazing. It's just that the Broncos are not playing up to their potential. Shocking.
I do want to run through some first half stats here in just a second. Miguel, appreciate the super from you, my friend, and your support as always. And Josh on Facebook, Devontae Harris just needs to be cut from the team. We're filling you there. We're filling you there, my friend. And yeah, we got a few Raiders trolls in from Twitter. John, just ignore those guys. We'll be fine. Let me jump up here really quick, Zach. Knowing that we only have about 10 minutes now that halftime has officially begun, let's grab some. Let's help our audience exercise some demons here. And whoops, there it is. Sorry, John, we clicked on it at like a fraction of a second. Mike Evans, let's go through these rapid fire. Love you, bro. Appreciate the super. Appreciate the support. He says, why aren't we using our talent in the red zone? Noah in the corner of the end zone or isolate Judy. Why indeed? So again, Zach, I do not absolve Drew Lock for that stupid throw and decision in the middle of the field like that on third down where he just threw the pick. But Mike's right. From a design perspective, why aren't you using the horses to create the mismatches when the chips are down?
It's the same thing I've been screaming about since the season started, and everyone's kind of finally coming around. And it's not to exonerate Locke. It's been awful the way he's been playing today and his erraticness and how inconsistent he's been. But Chad, the play calling, the lack of getting your talent involved, the fact that I'm excited, visibly and physically excited over seeing a play action rollout or seeing a tight end screen. Yes, get the ball into Jerry Jeudy's hands. You used a 15th overall draft pick in a receiver, use a second-round draft pick on a speedster, and you're ignoring both of them. A first-round pick on a tight end last year, and you're ignoring the guy. Again, you can blame Locke all you want, but it works both ways. If Locke is at fault, Pat Shermer is too.
Jess jumping in. Thanks, my friend. Appreciate you. One of our superstars. Constantly making mistakes. Figure it out, man. Yeah, I mean, look, even if the Broncos find a way to come back and win this game, and that's a big if, okay? Drew Lock is rapidly losing the faith and support of the fan base because it's just the word I'll say, you use the right word here, Zach, and that is erratic. Because the two picks, a few boneheaded throws, an overthrow, but then he makes some really big-time cashew type of throws, and you're like, why can't we see that more consistently? Ren99 jumping in. Thank you, my friend. Good to see you. He says, the 2 interceptions now by Lock are killing us. We should be winning this game right now. It's so frustrating watching this crap play on offense week after week. When will the bleeding end? It's a frustrating moment, guys, but it's only halftime. We'll see how the second half shakes out. But Zach, this is what I mean. Fans are starting to really, even the most optimistic and steadfast faith and support in Drew Lock, it's starting to fizzle because you're just not seeing the steps. And as KP says here, and then I'll serve this over to you, we are a second half team. Let's still believe we are good when we press the ball. That'll open the run. Hashtag missing Cortland Sutton, missing 14.
Yeah, and Tom, I saw your message. I'm fine. I'm pretty calm, relatively speaking. But it's so frustrating, at least as analysts, people who just watch the team every week, and to see the same mistakes, the same ineptitude, the same incompetency. It's being forced to watch the same 3-hour movie when you know how it ends every single time. It's the definition of insanity. And
it just doesn't seem like the reason. Sorry to interrupt you. I rarely do that, but the reason I put my finger up is you're seeing the same old stuff, but what you're not seeing is a coaching staff accommodating that, like trying to adjust to that and bridge the gap. That's another thing that just makes it so frustrating.
It does, and that's why we've put Drew Lock on a team like the Packers or the Chiefs or even the Dolphins are getting the most out of Tua, or even the Bengals getting the most out of Joe Burrow. Would you, in Broncos country, answer this question? If you put Drew Lock on another team with a better offensive coaching system, would he be better than what he's showing? I firmly believe yes. That's what I believe.
Jonathan Figueroa, a.k.a. J-Fig Vids, jumping in. Good to see you, my dog. He says, O-line, again, is killing the QB for the 4 years now. Yeah, honestly, the offensive line, as I mentioned on Twitter, Zach, it's been hot garbage. Up until that final drive, I don't think they've held up in terms of pass pro. Even Calvin Anderson starting at right tackle, he's been okay. That last drive, Locke got beaten up quite a bit. It's in the running game. I mean, Melvin Gordon to pick up 2 yards has to break 4 tackles. I mean, that's what you're dealing with. And it's unconscionable, especially with the venerated Mike Munchak, and a second-round pick, Dalton Reisner, a third-round pick, Lloyd Cushenberry, a highly touted prized free agent at right guard in Graham Glasgow. And I understand it's a patchwork at right tackle, but you've got an all-pro caliber guy playing at an all-pro level at left tackle. But the offensive line, man, they can't get it together. And Alvin jumping in. Good to see you. It's been a while, Alvin. Thank you for the super.
Thank you.
Why can't we just get some points on the board before the half? I know. It's frustrating.
Can't the Broncos get into the end zone? It's the age-old question. I've been asking myself personally since at least 2016. I'm sure, Chad, a little longer for you. And it's the never-ending battle between crime and corruption. And it's always, Superman saying, Chad, and the corruption here is Pat Shurmur and his grip on Locke and the Broncos offense.
Okay. Any additional supers, we will do our best to get them. Just real quick, Zach, I want to throw up here some numbers just so everyone can kind of see where the Broncos sit currently at the half. Give me 1 second. I'm going to do a share screen here. All right. So I'm going to go to team stats. All right. The Broncos, let's see if they've made any progress. On third down, they've converted 5 of 10. That's progress in terms of their numbers throughout the season. They've been averaging about 33 to 35% conversion rate. Meanwhile, look at the Raiders. They're only converting they've converted 1 third down. So that's progress. But then the Broncos here, as you can see in the red zone, 0 for 2. Again, in this case, 1 step forward. What's more important, third down, red zone? You can be the judge, but then it's 2 steps back, right? Red zone, you go 0 for 2. One of those is a turnover. Total net yards, Zach, the Broncos are outgaining the Raiders big time. But again, it's the 2 turnovers from Locke. Let's be frank. That's what's spelled the difference so far in this game.
Let's be frank. The difference is the quarterbacking and the coaching. Derek Carr is vastly outplaying Drew Lock. And I see, again, we're getting killed in the comments for being Lock apologists when we keep criticizing the guy. The only thing is we're not lumping him 100% of the blame. It's on the coaching staff as well. Lock has not been good. And I wanted to make one point. He got drilled from behind when there's a free rusher looping around the outside. It wasn't Garrett Bowles' fault. Lock had no pocket presence. And it's worse than a rookie quarterback. It's worse than a college quarterback. That's on him. The high throws, the inaccuracy, the erraticness, that is all on Drew Lock. I'm just saying, and Chad is just saying, and some Broncos fans are saying, he is not being helped out by either his supporting cast or the coaching he's receiving. It works both ways.
The one thing I'll say is his receivers haven't let him down today. His receivers have shown up, with the exception of Noah Fant in the end zone on that holding foul. That's not as a receiver, though. That was as a run blocker. Mahaba jumping in. Thanks for the support, my friend. He says, I have nothing to say. It's just good to see you rock. All right. Well, thanks for being with us, my dog. And then Kathy, good to see you, Kathy. It's been a minute. One of our longtime listeners and superstars. She says, Mike McCoy was able to win with Tebow. Yes, the OC shoulders most of the blame. Like most, you guys can decide who deserves most of the blame, but she's not wrong. And again, more than one thing can be right at the same time or true. And that is that Drew Lock has let his team down with erratic play, one step forward, two steps back, and his coaches are not consistently putting him in the right position to succeed. And his offensive line and running game just cannot get going once again, Zach.
It's common sense. This isn't a hard concept to grasp, Chad, and you're 100% correct. Those are all contributing factors, and football isn't a one-man sport. 11 players go into it, and the coaching staff goes into it as well. And all of those factors, quarterback included, are bad today, and they have been bad for quite a while. I want to make one counterpoint, though. When Jeff Driscoll was starting, was the Broncos offense suddenly the Chiefs? With Brett Rippon, were they suddenly world beaters? No. The common denominator is the coaching. But Pat Shurmur got exonerated for that because, Driscoll's your quarterback. Brett Rippon's your quarterback. You can't expect him to succeed. Well, Locke's your quarterback now. He went 4-1 last year with a rookie coordinator who was, quote unquote, worse than Pat Shurmur. So what is the excuse for that?
And I'm looking at that pick that he threw in the end zone, and it was a duck. I mean, it looked like a Peyton Manning duck, minus the anticipation, minus the accuracy. It was a weird floater bobbler, and he just didn't see that safety. Man. WE jumping in. We play the Dolphins, Saints, Chiefs, and Bills 4 of our next 5 games. Not sure we get more than 6 wins this year. When is it time to rebuild? That's a question that probably isn't going to be answered until 2022 because John Elway and Joe Ellis are going to ride this out together until and unless there's an ownership change. And John Elway's contract expires after 2021. So you're going to see Elway, Fangio, that's going to remain. Now, if Drew Lock plays like this and the Broncos win only 1 or 2 more games all year long, or, heaven forbid, even worse, Drew Lock's not going to get the chance to be the 2021 guy, and they'll end up doing something starting over at quarterback, but you're going to still have Fangio and Elway in 2021, but Drew Lock still has a chance to turn this thing around. He's been a second half guy throughout his career, or at least through this year, I should say. It'll be interesting to see, Zach, as they just kicked off the Raiders, of course, starting possession in the second half.
Yeah, we're not going to see a rebuild until Fangio is fired. They're not going to go through with a rebuild with him on the coaching staff because a lot of the moves they made this offseason alone were with a win-now mentality in mind. It wasn't for the future. It was to win right now. So if Fangio, like Chad said, gets fired in 2022, then yeah, you probably start over, new coaching staff, hopefully offensive-minded, new quarterback, and maybe a new general manager calling the shots. We don't know yet.
Josh says, appreciate the super again, Josh. He says, even with the win, it's hard. Even when we win, it's hard to watch. Yeah, it's up and down. It's very similar vibe to the 2011 Broncos, except the wins haven't been coming at the end, right? It's like that Week 8 comeback where the Broncos beat the Chargers this year. It was very Tebow-esque miracle type of come from behind win, and it was just so similar, the emotion and the overall vibe and whatnot, but it just hasn't been consistent. And one thing I'll say, this is going back to Kathy as Colton jumps in to say, thanks, Colton. Shurmur is the problem. He's not utilizing his guys at all. This is what I want to leave you with, and then let's bounce out of here, Zach, is the fact that going back to 2011, the Tebow year, the Broncos offense under Mike McCoy started out with Kyle Orton. And when they finally had to make the organizational decision to pivot to Tim Tebow, that man, Mike McCoy, ended up getting a head coaching gig a couple years later, in part due to how he completely reshaped the Broncos offense. They became the NFL leader in rushing. They took their chances in play action, and it worked. Now, he also got a little boost from getting Peyton Manning the next year, obviously, in 2012. That helped him get that job with the Chargers. But you want to see your offensive coaching staff. And here's the biggest difference here, Zach, is Drew Lock is not Tim Tebow in terms of passing acumen and ability. He can do a lot for you as a quarterback. He's got that talent, but you're just not seeing the coaching staff help him when he's in his struggles in ways that can, smooth things out. And last thing, Mike jumping in. Thank you, my friend. Serve this over to you, Zach, and then we'll dip out. Do you guys think Reisner's regression could be due to the inexperience of Cushenberry?
No, I think it's Reisner regressing, and it could be a black mark on Mike Munchak, who we mentioned this on a previous podcast. For all his allure and for all his reputation, the Broncos O-line under his watch really hasn't been that amazing. And to the last point you made, Chad, about Mike McCoy and Tebow, do you know why they had success with Tim Tebow? Because they were fitting his strengths to the offense. They weren't making him adapt to the system. They were adapting the system to the quarterback. And Shurmur refuses to do that. And I want to bring up one comment, and we'll get off here. Janice says you could have Mahomes in this offense and they wouldn't be that good. I disagree with that, but if that were true, what is the reason why? It wouldn't be the offensive line. It wouldn't be the receivers. It wouldn't be the running backs. What would be the reason why you put Patrick Mahomes in this offense and he wouldn't be that good? I'll give you guys a few seconds to answer that.
By the way, I agree. There's been a few comments about this. Bryce Callahan, clearly the MVP of the first half, man.
All pro.
What a difference maker that cat is. Just now he got beat on third down by a perfect throw. It was a perfect throw and a perfect catch. He was on that in coverage. So tip your cap to Bryce Callahan. It's good to see him back out there, and what a difference he makes. But guys, it is now a few plays into the third quarter, so we're going to dip out of here. Appreciate you, Kathy. Shout out to all the superstars supporting what we're doing here on these halftime streams. Zach and I, of course, will be back immediately following the game for a full hour plus long gut reaction episode. We'll go through the entire storylines and how this thing plays out. We'll see. We'll go through it all, but make sure you're back with us if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitter. As soon as the game ends, we're going to be back here live with the gut. And BG, as we sign off, Zach says, sad season. Hard to think where we go from here. It ain't over yet, gang. For now, just keep your chin up. The Raiders are driving, but this game ain't over yet.
It's not. And the Broncos, the maddening thing is they should have been winning by at least a touchdown in this game. And it's still very much in sight. A victory is still very much in play, but they have to do better than they did in the first half. And it starts, I will say this, it starts with number 3, Drew Lock.
Looks like the Raiders, for what it's worth, got the memo in the first half, realizing they're not using their star running back enough, and they are giving it to Jacobs to start this second half. And he's picking up some yardage for him, but now he's kind of nicked up and left the field. So anyway, gang, thank you for joining us for this rapid reaction halftime stream here of the Huddle Up podcast as Derek Carr goes wide open. Oh, Waller drops it. Busted coverage deep. Waller drops what would have been a touchdown. Nevertheless, guys, we got a dip, but we're going to be back. So make sure you're here with us for the gut reaction. We want your takes. We want your energy. We want your opinions on all these issues. And of course, as your football priest, we'll be here to help you exercise the demons, answer your questions, get it off your chest, break it all down. So Zach, we'll see how this thing goes in the second half and circle back at the end.
I'll leave it there. We'll see what happens.
All right, guys, for Zach, I'm Chad. We'll see you in about an hour and a half or so as soon as this game ends. Right now it's Raiders 10, Broncos 6.